Hi guys. Today we're going to be looking at EQing, specifically kick and bass. I thought kick and bass would be a good example because you can kind of look at two frequencies or two instruments that are in similar frequency ranges and how to kind of separate them. So yeah, let's get started. What I'm going to do first is just play you some of the tracks we're going to be EQing. So that's basically it. So let's go ahead here and just look at our kick. So this is a kick that's just coming out the drum rack. Now to find the EQ, you go to Audio Effects and you've got EQ3, which is the EQ with 3 bands. But we're going to use the EQ with 8 bands. The first thing I kind of like to do is use a high pass filter and take off maybe around 40 something hertz, between 30 and 40 hertz, or 30 to 50. Really depends on the kick. The reason for this is because the bass is in a similar frequency, so those sub frequencies that we've removed, we want to kind of leave that for the bass, but we want the kick to still fit. So your slope on your high pass filter, you could really have a steep one. I think that really depends on how much your kick is clashing with your bass, but I always try to be lenient with my slopes. So yeah, these are known as high pass filters. They basically take off low end. These are like your notch filters, and then you got shelf filters, which basically raise a whole shelf of frequencies. You also have shelf filters in the low end as well. So for example, if we change this one to a shelf, oh sorry, number one that is, and that was changed to a shelf. But for this particular frequency, we're just going to use a high pass. Now what we're going to do, we're going to kind of scan through with a notch filter to find some frequencies. So here you can see that I've just adjusted the Q. What that does is kind of select the range of frequencies that you're trying to select. So, you know, if I do it tight, that's like very specific frequencies, and then this is kind of like a broader range of frequencies. So I'm gonna kind of go for a tight Q, just because it could be more revealing. And this method is known as the kind of raise and sweep method. So once I find a frequency that I think might be there, you know, that might just be popping out, I like to band pass it and have a listen to it, just to see if it's still popping out without me raising it, which it is. So what we do, we remove it. As you can see, I've got this adaptive Q thing on. I don't really like it, and what that does is it just adapts the Q as you raise it, or you know, as you raise it or decrease it. But yeah, I just want to use it manually, so turn that off. So as you can see, that frequency is no more. If I put it back, so that just gets rid of that little frequency there. And there's going to be more of those, so let's go and find them. So there's a little satin around there. Just going to remove. Just going to raise the kick around 60 because that's kind of like where the boominess is. Just adjusting that frequency there. So there's nothing up here but really like clicks and stuff, so I'm going to just get a high pass and tighten that up. So a high pass, a low pass. So a low pass allows low frequencies to come through, so it cuts off the high end. Now what we're going to do is just get the bass. As you can see, the kick was around, it's peaking around 60, 70 hertz. If you look at the bass, we're in a similar frequency range. But first, let's go look at like the mid range and see what we can take out, because I'm pretty sure there's like some rings in there that I could hear as well, especially on that first note. Yeah, so there's a little something there between 300 and 400. I'm just going to go ahead kind of just remove it. That's better. What we're going to do is take this one, so band number 2, I'm going to go to around 65 hertz. Maybe if I can tight Q and just notch it. The reason I'm turning up the gain is just to make up for volume loss, because I've reduced frequencies. So by bypassing it, raising the gain, and then bringing it back on, you can kind of match how much you've lost and how much you're adding back on in terms of volume. What I might do, it's not necessary for this example, but it just might raise some high mid-range, like around 100, just to beef it up a bit. And because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and take around the same frequency in this kick. I'm gonna do like a wider key. As you can see, the kick and the bass are nicely merging together. I mean, I'm going to play them without the EQs first, just so you guys can kind of see how they merge. This is what they was before. And then with the EQ. And the reason that works is because I'm taking out not only just the nasty frequencies, but I've taken out 65.3 hertz, and that's kind of like where I've raised the kick at 65.3. Also taken about 120 hertz out where I've raised the bass, so that mid-range comes through. So I'm kind of just matching frequencies here, and that kind of just helps create, you know, very specific space for our two instruments that are clashing in the same frequency. So let's hear that within the track. As you can see, you know, they don't clash or anything. I think the kick needs to come down a bit, but other than that. Yeah, as you can hear, they don't really clash. They've got their specific space in the low end, and yeah, they do their thing. Would have been nice to do this with a kick with a bit more high end, because I feel like if the kick had like a high end layer, it would have made it cut through the mix just a bit more. But otherwise, that's basically some low end theory for you guys. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. And just a note as well, these techniques can be used with any instrument. You know, if there's an instrument, for example, if there's two instruments that, you know, one's in 300 and the other one's, you know, around 300 as well, you can use these techniques to kind of sort out and pick individual frequencies for them so they cut through the mix. So yeah, I hope that's been helpful, and see you in another session.